Welcome back to True Threads, the place where real stories of betrayal, revenge, and justice come alive. Today's story is one you don't want to miss, so stay with me till the end. It all began with a family that looked perfect from the outside but was falling apart behind closed doors. Arman was the oldest son, ambitious and arrogant, who believed that everything in the family business should belong to him. His younger brother, Samir, was quiet, hardworking, and always tried to keep peace in the family, while their sister, Aisha, was often caught in the middle of their endless fights. Their father, a respected businessman, had built a small empire over 40 years with honesty and sacrifice. But as his health began to fail, whispers of inheritance started circling the household like vultures. Arman, desperate for control, began manipulating his mother, convincing her that Samir was weak and incapable of running the company. Behind the scenes, he was altering documents, shifting assets, and secretly trying to claim everything for himself. Samir noticed changes, but kept silent, believing his father's fairness would protect him. When their father passed, the will was read aloud in the lawyer's office. To everyone's shock, the business and properties were not given to Arman alone, but equally divided among the 3 siblings. Arman's face turned pale with anger. He had expected the company to be handed entirely to him, and he looked at Samir with pure hatred. From that day, the war inside the family truly began. Arman began using dirty tricks, locking Samir out of meetings, bribing employees to betray him, and even spreading rumors that Samir was stealing money.
Focusing on his work and keeping his father's legacy alive. But when Arman humiliated him publicly at a family gathering, mocking him as a failure in front of relatives, Samir decided he would no longer stay quiet. What Arman didn't know was that Samir had been quietly collecting evidence for months. Emails, fake contracts, proof of bribes, all carefully documented. Samir also had the loyalty of several long-time employees who knew the truth about Arman's schemes. Instead of rushing to expose him, Samir waited. He knew Arman's arrogance would be his own downfall. And the chance came sooner than expected. Arman tried to illegally sell part of the company's land to cover his gambling debts, but the deal required the signatures of all 3 siblings. Arman, thinking himself clever, forged Samir's signature. What he didn't realize was that Samir had already informed the lawyer and police about his suspicions. The trap was set. On the day of the signing, as Arman smugly handed over the documents, the lawyer paused, raised his head, and said, "Arman, do you realize this signature isn't authentic?" Within seconds, 2 officers stepped into the room. The silence was unbearable as Arman's eyes widened. He looked at Samir, who finally spoke with calm authority. "You thought I was weak, but I was only patient. Everything you've done is recorded. Your lies end today." Arman was arrested on the spot for fraud, forgery, and financial misconduct. The mighty brother who once laughed at Samir's quietness was dragged out of the office in handcuffs, shouting and cursing. For the first time, Samir stood tall, not with arrogance, but with dignity, as the employees applauded him. Aisha, who had been silent all along, hugged Samir with tears in her eyes. The business was saved, and their father's legacy remained intact. Arman lost everything: his position, his reputation, and even the respect of his own mother, who finally saw through his lies. Meanwhile, Samir became the true leader of the family business, not through greed or manipulation, but through patience, resilience, and justice. And the sweetest revenge? Arman now lives in a small rented house, forgotten by the very people he once tried to impress, while Samir carries forward the family's name with honor. And that was today's story, a reminder that arrogance may win battles, but patience and truth always win wars. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Truth Threads for more real stories of betrayal and revenge. See you in the next one.